Alright, I'm going to show how I made and what is what I'm calling my fencing electronics sleeve. Now this article of clothing here, which appears to be a half a shirt, is just designed to protect the right-handed fencer a little bit more on their sword side. It's called a plastron. Keep having to look because I wrote down the name of it here. I never heard of it before. A plastron, P-L-A-S-T-R-O-N. And the first thing I did was use some of this type of Velcro, which I'll refer to as having two parts, hook and loop. It's a sticky back, so I glued it onto the edge of the sleeve of the plastron, and then I sewed it on. Then I took a piece of what I'm calling faux fur, gray furish fabric, and I put the outside in. And I had previously gotten this fabric to use for making rat heads and rat tails in connection with the street rat in the Amicus magazine that Rita Rodentia and originally Will Rat for Iraq started in 1999. So I folded over what had originally been the inside fabric, and I put on two pieces of hooked Velcro, stretching all the way around it to mate with the loop Velcro here. So that attaches like this. As anyone who's worked with Velcro knows, it can be like working with tape that one unintentionally gets stuck with. In this case, it's really not so bad because, of course, you can unpeel Velcro, whereas unpeeling tape that's stuck together is much different. So then I made this so it would connect, and the furry part is on the inside, which makes it more comfortable for the arm going through it. Then I took the fencing box that I conceived of and that Roger designed and built, and I put hook Velcro on the bottom and loop Velcro on the other edges. And that's pretty much the pattern that I've been following, to have the part that attaches be the hook Velcro and the part that it's attached to be the loop Velcro. So here I put two circles of loop Velcro around the end of the sleeve. I made a mark here about where I want this to be, and then I made sure to not cover over the two USB ports or the other controls that are here. So that attaches like this. Now this is not the order that I did it in, but it's a good order for demonstration. So I took a piece of hook Velcro and a piece of loop Velcro, and I put them back to back so that they would have so it would be a strip of hook on one side and loop on the other side. And I made 2 different lengths. So what I do in order to secure this fencing box a little better is to wrap it around with this strap, this Velcro strap. In this case, making sure not to cover up the USB holes so it doesn't go all the way around. Going all the way around would be sturdier, but then it would cover the holes. And then this one can go all the way around, the longer of the 2 straps. And since it's loop on the other side, that means that the strap can connect to itself. So that's very sturdy, which is of course important since I'm going to be moving my arm. It doesn't mean that I won't be moving it too much. I'm anticipating that I might have problems with the devices. I've got 3 of these Volca electronic musical instruments. So potentially I could have 3 fencers doing something like this. Originally I was going to make 3 of these things, but it took me so many months just to get to this point that I decided not to mess with it any further. So this one also has marks. And there's a hook Velcro on the bottom and the sides. And that goes like this. And supposedly the stress that this Velcro can take is 5 pounds. Nothing I have here is even close to 5 pounds. But I still decided that it was probably better to try to make it sturdier. So a part of this making it sturdier is that I took this piece of white cardboard, or cardstock really, that's glossy, and I taped it together into this triangle. And then again I put Velcro on it, the hook Velcro on the parts that needed to mate with the loop Velcro and vice versa. So that should go like this. I'll just turn this on without meaning to, so I'm turning it off again. Okay, so that goes there because when my arm is in this, my arm is not as thick as the this. This is 4.5 inches roughly, 7.5 roughly by 1 inch deep. And my arm is obviously only about half that. So the reason for doing this is to try to make it so that the device, the electronic device, will stand up kind of like this. So that when I'm fencing, it's easier for me to manipulate the controls of my left hand. It's going to do that anyway. It won't be able to lay down flat, because in order to lay down flat, it would have to curve around. So this is just enabling that to be done a little bit better, although this is kind of still in the experimental stage. So I'm not really sure how well that's ultimately going to work. Okay, then I made this collar. It's, again, hook on one side and loop on the other. And the collar makes like this. So far so good, I suppose. I haven't actually used this yet with the white triangle in it. But that's fitting pretty good. Now I had to leave some space here for the MIDI to come out, and I didn't leave a whole lot, and some space for pressing the button, but I left just enough so that the MIDI cable can come out of here and go into here. Yeah, I might as well demonstrate that. Eventually, I'm going to have something tying the cable so that it's not so sloppy. But for right now, it's okay the way it is. Okay, that goes there. This goes here. You can see it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it could be worse. Now, the sound out on this comes from this stereo mini, which is somewhat bent. And ultimately that's going to go to the amplifier, which I don't have set up yet. Actually, it's going to the effects unit. Now, the effects unit is something that I really don't have set up properly at all. I've only got one Velcro connection I need, and even that one's not that great. But hypothetically, I go from this into here, and then from there out to the amp. I'm not going to do the amp yet. Okay, so the amp, same deal. Hook Velcro on the edge, on the bottom. I was going to use the clip, but I decided that it was really not that big of a deal to do it that way. And then I have a blue line here marking where this is supposed to go. So that sticks like that. It's pretty strong, but I wanted to make it stronger, so once again I made a collar. And once again I had to configure it in such a way so that I didn't block any controls. There's a couple of controls there, and then on this side there's a USB and a 1/4 inch phone jack. Alright, so that's very sturdy. Now, I hardly ever use this thing. It's mainly designed with a pretty simple idea of distortion or delay. The fencing foil, of course, goes here. Okay, this is 2-prong here. Goes into this 2-prong connection here, and this clip holds it in place. Must be an adapter, and I'm not really sure where that adapter is. I don't really have to worry about that now. Anyway, I turn the amp on. I turn on the Volca. Turn the amp all the way up. I press the second button from the right, which, there we go. Alright, that's all I'm going to demonstrate for now. Alright, this will be the first real test of all this. Although I still need to do something to strap the cords out of the way. More concerned with just trying the electronics connections. as simple as this is, it's still complicated. Complicated in the sense that there are all sorts of things that can go wrong, and obviously wearing this thing on my arm is not exactly the most efficient thing in the world. It's not that bad either, though. But you can see that there are problems just with even trying to get the lamé on, which fortunately has large armholes, or I wouldn't be able to do it. This is the kind of thing where it would be helpful to have an assistant, which back in my younger days would have probably been my girlfriend, who might have even complained or enjoyed it. In most cases, I think they enjoyed it. Sheesh. This is the ground, and it clips onto the lamé. Putting this camera on under ordinary circumstances can be confusing. But having to put it on over top of this is just ridiculous. Alright, all three of the cameras are going. Now let's see whether I can get anything to work. Alright, well this is not working, which probably means that it's not charged. This has to be charged. I could just make this whole thing wireless and not have the electronics on my arm at all. I read that one of the reasons why competitive fencing clothes are white is because originally, every time there was a touch, some blue ink would appear on the clothing. That made it easier for scoring. This would have been before the electronic days. Alright, this is working the opposite way that it's supposed to. When I touch my lamé, it should make it go faster, but instead it's stopping it. And when I touch anything else by depressing the button of the foil, and when I press the blue button, it should play a 5-note figure within certain pitch restrictions. That's sort of working. Okay, I just turned the box off. So it appears that the MIDI signal that's coming from the box is creating a constant sound. Turning it back on again. All right, so that clearly works under these conditions, where I'm holding this against the lamé ground. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty much does the opposite of what it's supposed to do. Depressing the tip of the foil should make it only play one note, but instead it's playing all the time and the foil either cuts it off or does nothing. That is something I'm going to have to write to Roger about. Okay, since yesterday I've improved the sleeve by adding a collar for the effects unit and all of the necessary requisite parts of that. Yeah, it's the exact same thing as yesterday. Different box, different chord.
Okay, so this is the box. It goes into a pocket here, and the synthesizer goes on these strips. I'm trying to get some light here. And try to line these things up. And that's that. We're thinking of maybe sewing a little pocket down here too, but it's pretty. It's stuck pretty well, but it kind of flops around, and so several of these things I wanted to consult with you and see what you did, but I just this is just a Velcro strap.
Yeah, as long as you don't cover over the keys, though. You're going to cover over the keys that way.
Well, I know, so that's what I wanted to see.
Well, I'll show you what I did.
About what you did. It turns out this Velcro, when I glued it to the to these pants, I used Gorilla Glue, and it looks like it just like almost melted the nylon, like the Velcro is not sewn on or anything, but it looks like it's just fused in with the fabric.
So you think it works pretty good then?
Yeah, it's on there really solid. Yeah, although it didn't really stick super well to the Velcro unless you use two-sided Velcro, and then it basically locks into the loops on the Velcro. So I have sticky-sided Velcro on the box side, and I have double-sided on the pants on the fabric.
I feel fairly confident that people will love this performance, regardless of how groundbreaking it may not be in terms of electronic music. I think that just as a performance thing, people will find it extremely entertaining and interesting and fun. But the thing is to get to the point of actually doing it. I don't even even know where to do anything in Pittsburgh anymore because everything has become so changed since the time of the quarantine.
Yeah.
And Roanoke is my favorite place to do anything now. I have a sort of combination of fascination and terror of the Mardi Gras. Just seems like too much of a mob scene for me. I don't think I can enjoy it because of that.
It's sort of a mob scene, but I mean, depending on where you go, it's a pretty family-friendly event. Dads always carry step ladders on their backs and
Really?
and set it up in the crowds, and then the kids climb up on the step ladder to catch stuff, and
Oh, that's funny.
but you need an adult to stand behind the step ladder and keep it from getting knocked over, because sometimes, like when a parade goes by, the crowd will go, kind of flows. If you have a step ladder, you can't move with the crowd. So,
Yeah.
people will bump into it, not just because they're not looking. This is your lick. The tent motif.
Right.
This I don't understand. I think maybe it's a connection in the like this switch maybe has a little bit of not a perfect circuit.
Well, that's pretty good. Now try pressing the handle to your lamé. Let's hear that. Sometimes the kinds of things that please me are just so ludicrous sometimes. Because I really like things that are so simple in some ways, but so unexpected in other ways. And it's unexpected, so it's really pretty
A
stable.
little bit like Stellar.
Yeah. Did you see his performance when he?
Yeah.
The one that was at the Wood Street Gallery.
Yeah.
That was, in some ways, it was a great performance, but his whole shtick of the body obsolete, which many people are into, I'm not into it at all. And the thing is, he had what, like 10 computers, 5 on each side. And I even met the guy who did the electronic music for that in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to piss him off, I think, because I was the way that system worked, if I remember correctly, was that each of the computers was searching for electronic sounds online, and then there was some kind of system for pulling the sounds for whenever a sound was going to happen, right? And I didn't know that this guy that I was talking to in Australia was the guy who had done that. So I was like, well, I said something like, well, that couldn't have been your music because it was really, really boring, just like washes and bleeps and bloops. I refer to that type of electronic music as bleep music, which to a certain extent what we're doing nowadays too.
Yeah.
And usually what I do is of a completely different nature. And he looked so mad that I said that, but
I was just remembering I went to, I guess it was that Stellar performance. I was thinking he played in Pittsburgh a couple of times.
well, he might have, but that's the only one that I
Because
saw.
he had some connection with the Studio for Creative Inquiry, or I took Richard to that performance, and he was really little, like 5 or 6, I think.
The one that was at the Miller Gallery or a different one?
The Stellar, well, I don't know, one of the.
Or not the Miller Gallery, the Wood Street Gallery.
Yeah. And I guess I had met Stellark at CMU or something, because I went out to talk to him after the performance, and Richard was there, so I introduced Richard, and he says, oh, nice to meet you, you know, and he reached down with his third arm to shake hands with her. And being like protective parent, all of a sudden all these primordial alarms start going off. Oh, get away from my child! So here's my question for you: is should I do it like this, or should I move it down so it's not so I don't have to tuck this behind it?
Oh, I think it's fine the way it is.
Okay.
I mean,
It's a little more secure. I mean, if I just need Velcro below it on the bottom to hold it anchored down.
Yeah, you know, we're obviously not really going for proper fencing technique or anything. Now, of course, the goal, as I'm sure you understand, is not to actually probe the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like, so I'm going to give you a demonstration here. Like, so I'm not going to hit your arm.
The switch on the bottom, I think there's an octave switch, but it's not doing anything now. Oh, I see. Oh, it's the octave for the keyboard, but not for MIDI.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here.
All right, so I'm going to try hitting your lamé, so
Okay.
be prepared.
Push harder.
The point is here is that we're not going to be like stabbing each other's faces
Yeah.
or crotches or knees or hands or whatever. You know, it's really more for show.
Yeah.
I don't even think we'll hit each other's arms unless we do it accidentally. So basically the lamé is the target, and I'm imagining the lamé above the crotch. And I'm going to have this thing, the name which I forget now, underneath the lamé, which is the way I should have put it on. What I'm imagining is, and this is a very small, tight space to do it in, but I'm imagining us starting out holding our swords up like this and standing sideways, because that's at least some, you know, the thing about fencing is that you're trying to present as little target as possible. So it's usually skinny people who fence, and they usually stand sideways so that they don't get their chests hit. So I'm thinking that we'd start out by just...
That's not even supposed to make a sound.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I was thinking we would start off with that, because we would do it more as a percussion thing, you know, so it'd be like...
Maybe I should change the software to reject really, you know, like instantaneous contact.
Well, let's not worry about it for now. And then we would do the occasional stab. Go ahead and stab me. You know, like... And then we could either be melodramatic about it, which I don't think is necessary, but it might be fun to try that out sometime, and be like, oh, you know, as if we've been hurt. So... You know, whatever. It's silly, but I love doing showbiz type things. So, okay, so we do more of this, and then, you know, maybe try to make it seem like we're actually doing something. Yeah, that's probably good. Like where you like force the other person's foil off to the side, you know, whatever. And then, you know, occasionally we get a hit in. And then, maybe, you know, what I was thinking is that at the very end, well, not that we're really at the end yet, but we would go like this. We would put your handle up against your lamé, and then we would just do a look, mom, no hands type of thing while it goes live. That might be a nice way to end it, because what I'm thinking of having happen, not for this, the sound was not bad. Is for the performance in Roanoke, I was going to have a woman, either an old woman or someone pretending to be an old woman, with a walker, but a different walker than the one that I used with the percussion stuff on it before, with a sign on it that says, "It's always 6 o'clock, do you know where your parents are?" Which is a reference to various things, including the Lewis Carroll's Mad Hatter Tea Party. And and the TV commercial about it's after 10 o'clock, you know where your kids are, obviously. But it's also a reference to Neoism, which is a movement that I've been involved with for the last 40 plus years. And I was going to have this person go between us, which would disrupt the fencing. Of course, this doesn't apply to you right now, but I'm explaining this to you anyway, so you have kind of an idea of what my vision is here. And then after the woman passed through us is when we would like hypothetically go in for the kill. And just sort of freeze like this for a while. And then pull away, and that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
So the main gist of it would be when we're getting to the point of actually hitting each other and changing the electronics. So, which is not going to be the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
In fact, it's really clunkily slow, but.
Is that me? Push harder.
Yeah.
I think the switch didn't. No, yeah, that's doing it.
Alright, it's good that we're doing this because the clunkiness of it is pretty obviously a problem. Like, my thing, regardless of how velcroed it is the box is falling off.
Yeah, well, and the cable is sort of pulling, the MIDI connectors.
Yeah, right. But at any rate. So you know, we could have one hand on our device,
Yeah.
and with the other hand be stabbing.
Oh, what happened?
All right. So it's really
Is that the same synthesizer, or that's a?
no. This is a different one. This
Yeah.
one's based on FM synthesis.
Yeah.
That's a more conventional analog synthesizer, or
Yeah,
based on
yeah.
one. All right. Well, I think we at least know that it works,
Yeah.
and that what we need to do is to try to be more performative. So we have to, which this is not really the best environment to do it in, but we. All right, I better turn this stuff off now. In other words, when we're actually performing, we should probably just go for making sounds happen and making movements happen without being so awkward about it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I probe you with the foil tip, I should just pay complete attention to messing around with the synthesizer
Yeah.
and not be paying attention to how I'm probing you with the tip.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as I'm doing it safely.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely want to be safe. So I think the next thing to do is to try to go over to CMU someday, it'll take me a while to set up the cameras because I want to set up more cameras, and just do it in front of that CMU, in front of the Mel Bachner mural,
Yeah.
as like an actual attempt to do it as if we were performing for an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a few people would show up, just out of the blue or whatever anyway. But it is working. I mean, they both seem to be working all right.
Yeah, so I think what I want to do is change the program a little bit to, because I hadn't heard it like do those false, just putting out a single note
Yeah.
when we're banging our swords or touching the ground and stuff. I think I should take that out. Try to eliminate that. Which I think is just let's see. I think it's just the swords. Somehow the switches on the swords are not. Wait, how does that work? They're supposed to be. They're closed until it's a closed switch until you poke somebody and then it opens.
Okay.
But I think if like anything electrical, if you wiggle it a little bit, even though it's mostly closed, it'll for a microsecond it'll open up.
Yeah.
And it's just like scratch. It's like if you were listening to it, it would be scratching. And I think the computer is picking up those scratches.
So is it possible to make it less sensitive?
Yeah, because what I can do is just when the computer detects something, it can go back and say, "Are you still open? Are you still open? Is it still an open circuit? Is it still an open?" And if you do that over 10 milliseconds or something, then it'll only fire when it's really open.
When do you think you'd be able to do this by? Because I haven't told the people
it'll be quick.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll take an hour probably to do all 4.
Okay.
Or you can keep that one, and I'll take these 3, and actually I'll change 2 of them, and be careful to remember which is which, and then we can try it out, and then if anything goes wrong, we can switch to the ones that we just tested today.
Okay. So what? Let's see. Today is Tuesday. When do you think would be a good day to go over to CMU then?
Any day you want it. Maybe I should look at my schedule and email you, because I have some meetings with students.
Yeah.
At random times.
Yeah. All right. Well, you do that. The main thing is I haven't told the aftermath people. I haven't given them a definite yes or a definite no, and their deadline is May 31st. And I have to try to figure out how the hell I'm going to do it at all anyway. So I want to make sure that we have everything up and running completely before I tell them yes.
Yeah, okay.
And
what day is the 31st? Oh, that's not...
it's still 2 weeks from today,
Yeah,
or slightly less than 2 weeks, but
okay.
10 days or something. I think today might be the 21st. Once we have space to move in, I think we'll be a lot less clunky. Right now we're just stuck with standing right next to each other, which is sort of stupid because we want to dance around. Fortunately you're a thin guy, you're probably fairly fit, even though we're both old men. I know that I'm still capable of doing things like this if I want to or whatever, so I'm not completely over the hill yet, even if I'm 90% of the way over there. Well,
tell me if you need a hand.
did you bring any extra batteries with you?
No.
I don't know how we're going to manage to do this, but just be careful that you don't fall off the edge. That's probably our biggest fear at the moment.
You have a gray plug hanging out in front?
Yeah, that's the one that would have gone into this.
Oh, okay.
I disconnected it from the effects thing because that's often a problem.
It's weird walking around with this thing. It's
I know.
very disorienting.
The whole thing is kind of disorienting, but it'll be a really good shot, I think. So let's do what I was saying, where we'll start out just clicking swords, but since we've got the space, let's jump around a fair amount. And what you did before, where you held up the sword as if you were blocking, that was good, because instead of just doing this, oh well. All right, and then eventually we'll get to the point where we start interfacing with the synths a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the thing at the end where we join like this. And maybe just let that go on for a while.
Okay.
All right, so I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
What?
Like terrible fences. Watch out.
Don't forget to press your button at some point. I got exhausted quickly with that. Did you find yourself tired?
A little bit.
You're in better shape than I am, but that wasn't bad actually. It could have been better, but we still did move around a little bit. Yeah, that was not bad. I mean, and I made enough changes on this to make a difference. And I pressed the button probably at least 4 or 5 times, but the problem for me is that it's hard to reach the button. Yeah. And when I do that, I'm leaving myself open for you to stab me. Yeah. Because that's fine in a way, but I notice you always restrained yourself and didn't stab me when you had the chance.
So I was thinking it would be really cool if, like, when you poke somebody, they would just kind of go, you know, like that was a hit.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, something a little bit more dramatic. Yeah. That's the thing. It's dramatic, but it's not dramatic in the sense that you were just describing as a lesser factor or whatever, because it could be more dramatic if, for example, if the volume were to go up, or if it were to be, as you said, a cascade of notes or whatever, then it would be really obvious. But as it is, it's like we're making sounds, and in my case I was making sounds even though I wasn't depressing the tip because my software hasn't been altered yet, but I'm fine with that for right now.
Yeah, well, mine was doing that too.
Well, I always had paranoias about security guards, because you probably never get trouble with security guards, but I'm like the kind of person that they immediately target.
Oh yeah.
Very, very threatening too.
Yeah.
Like I used to guest lecture at the college where Michael Tesla worked all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was there all the time. Not only for guest lecturing, but for other things too. And the security guy would stop me, and he just wouldn't have it. You know, he wouldn't believe anything that I had to say, and he was very, very, like, threatening. Finally, Michael had to go talk to the guy and say, look, this is a friend of mine who guest lectures here all the time. He's here all the time. He curates things here, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then I never had any trouble after that. But
yeah.
It was just, because the guy would say, what, do you have a problem? Or something like that, you know, as if, and I would say, well, yes, I do have a problem. I'm here to go give a lecture in the arts department, and you're stopping me in a very threatening manner. So I guess I could say yes and I don't. But I'm always extremely polite.
Yeah.
You know, I don't insult people. I always keep an even tone of voice. I don't do anything that's remotely threatening. But these people are threatening.
Yeah.
You know, they're taking it for granted that you are a criminal and that they've caught you, and that it's just a matter of interrogating you before you show that you are someone who should be put in jail.
Yeah. Yeah. Or intimidating you so that you will obey.
Yeah, or just leave.
Can you press your blue button?
I tested this right before we left the house.
I heard it.
And it was working
Standing
fine.
right here and I heard it.
And then I got over there and it started doing that feedback sort of thing. And if you see an image on it,
I do.
maybe turn it off.
It's,
Okay.
yeah, see an image.
I really appreciate you doing this. You must feel like shit after having to work today.
Well, luckily the house I was in had AC today.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel horrible, and it's not even that hot.
No, it's
just-
very hot. It's like 100 degrees.
Last night the power went off, and then this morning they turned it off. I don't know whether you realized what was going on. It might not have
I
affected
probably
your
wasn't
part of the
home.
neighborhood. But at 8 o'clock exactly, the power went off.
So if you could slide down this way a little bit.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then put your sit up.
Sit
Yeah,
up.
I'm just
Right.
trying to see what size this is. And you want it upside down this time.
Yeah, let me change the position of the camera, sorry. When I used to work in this kind of weather back when I was a hardwood floor finisher, it would be 20 degrees hotter inside the house than it was outside. So if it was 95 inside, it would be 115 inside because we had to leave the windows closed and we couldn't put AC on because that would blow air across the floor and
Oh my God.
it would cause what was called blushing in the finish.
Oh my God.
So the finish would develop all of these little blisters and then
Yeah.
we had to do it over again. So we had to do it without air stirring and it was like,
Oh my
I
God.
could never do it now. It would kill me now.
Yeah.
I've been doing this stuff for 50 years
Mm-hmm.
or even longer really. And that I've never made any money off of it, and that now I'm not really doing so good financially. So
Right.
I was involved with mail art at a time when mail art was really in its prime, and there was a shitload of really interesting people doing things.
Uh-huh.
And then in the 90s, it started to deteriorate. Mail costs started to go up too much, and then, of course, email came along, and that dramatically changed things, etc. You know, it used to cost 10 cents to send a postcard to Canada or Mexico.
Yeah.
Now it's $1.65.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's a pretty huge increase that isn't completely explained by inflation. You know, it's explained by the way everything is becoming electronic, and therefore the physical infrastructure that supports sending a postcard is just gotten to be more expensive. It changed so that Mexico and Canada became foreign countries. You know, whereas before it was just like, well,
Yeah.
we're all part of North America.
Yeah.
This Aftermath Festival is one of the last good things in my life.
I see that well.
And of course, I don't know how much longer I'm going to live. Do you work in a job that don't have an AC?
Yep.
I would never want to do that anymore. Look to make sure that the counter is on, which it is. Yeah, there was even a big article about me in a Chinese art magazine, the Lofty Art magazine, called Art
Wow.
World.
Do you have a copy?
Yeah.
Really?
As the singer.
You
Thank you.
have to lean all the way down and tuck your, yeah.
rummage, call, diesel, fly, stroke, joke, wasted wrist, lumber mail, vestal, hail, fall, human, chalk, salt, piss, toll, lodge, sumer, wise, burr, halt, weasel, wash, trail, flail, vestige, moat, tum, blur, nudge, slip, pea, tum, bulls, new, straw, load, bump, per, fault, fail, malt, rum.
No mercy.
Get him.
I got my money on 10.
figured he's got his mind on it.
Surprise!